Howdy, folks. Are you too pissed off for the future but too grown for the past? Let's test it. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Test Press. My name is Brylan May, and today, I know I say every day is a special day, and we have a special guest, but today is a very, very special guest. We have an incredible, absolutely incredible singer, songwriter, and master of many other things, which we will get into in a little bit. We have with us today June Swoon. Woo! How you doing today, June?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Tuesday is usually my TJ Maxx time or Ross time.
TJ Maxx.
I'm a Maxxinista.
Is that what they call them?
Mm-hmm.
Maxxinista. I was going to say a Maxer, but Maxxinista's
You
better.
know, we do go to the Max. TJ Maxx. You want
with 2 X's.
New jingle?
Not a sponsor.
Yeah, I heard we're going to discuss some culture. I do have an associate's degree from community college in arts and cultures, so happy to use that.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's we can talk about some culture for sure.
Let's comment.
Yeah, what you went to community college? What community college you go to?
I went to so many community colleges.
Really?
An advisor ultimately sat me down and was like, "You have 2 degrees from the school. You've taken too many classes.
Oh my God.
It's time to go." So
so you literally got kicked out of community college for taking
they cut
too
me
many
off.
classes?
They cut me off.
You're cut off.
No, but I have associate's degrees from Sierra College in Rockland. Shout out
Awesome.
Sierra College.
Well, speaking of your college days, it seems only natural to get started with where you're from. You grew up in Citrus Heights, California. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Which is a suburb of Sacktown, as the cool kids say, aka Sacramento. What was it like growing up near our beloved capital here?
Oh my gosh. Growing up in Northern California was amazing. I mean, you're kind of spoiled, you know, when I ended up living in other parts of the country, just not having to deal with things like snow.
Yeah.
And things like that. In Sacramento, I played in a lot of like garage type bands. We had a really tight knit, like all ages music scene there.
Oh, wow.
And we were really proud of our math rock
Hell yeah.
claim to fame. You're wearing a Deftone shirt.
I sure am. They're from Sacktown, which
Yes.
actually you just informed me. I knew they were from Cali, but I didn't know where.
Yes, Sacramento is a beautiful place, amazing place for music, and I had a lot of support there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe I mentioned this on the show before. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. So I imagine weather-wise growing up was quite different for us. We one time school got canceled for a week because there was about 4 inches of ice over everything, including the power lines. So power was out for like a week. It was basically we were living in the Alaskan wilderness for like a
God.
week. It was, I mean, it's funny now, but it was pretty scary because we didn't know when stuff was coming back
terrifying.
online. Yeah.
And these weather events, people, I mean, it's very dangerous. We just live on the edge every day.
Yeah. And now, does Sacramento, is there a lot of, wildfire, mudslide threat, or is it a part of California? Because I know different parts are, there's kind of different risks.
We have a dam that has some lore that is always on the brink of something happening. Some dam lore. There's also like the Delta there. There was some flooding when I grew up, but nothing too crazy. But don't take it from me because I grew up kind of evangelical and homeschooled. So I'm not totally confident about all the facts of
fair
the
enough.
science. We didn't cover that in my community college era.
That's actually a perfect segue to the next thing I was going to ask about. I've read a lot of the interviews you've done prior, and this comes up in your music as well, that you grew up super religious. Evangelical, was it so Protestantism, I assume?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Ours, it's non-denominational.
Okay.
So it's more based on the vibe. It's
Gotcha.
It's more based on
it's vibe based.
It's vibe based.
Vibe based religion.
Yeah.
It's a great band name, by the way.
Yeah, vibe based religion.
Yeah, that's a free one.
It was literalist.
Okay.
So the Bible, it's historical. Yep. The earth is 2,000 years old.
Noah literally put 2 of every animal in the ark.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very literal. And just things like, it was more traditional, like A Woman's Place is more traditional. And I did a lot of music there. So that was a big part of how I started playing instruments. I mean, I'd been playing piano. I'd been playing classical piano since I was 4.
Wow.
And then I did some like musical theater, but I started playing on stage at these mega churches when I was 11. So
I will say church kids are usually pretty fucking good at music.
Yeah, you got those church chops for sure.
Yeah. Because it's like, and there's a comedian that I forget his name, but he has a joke about that like, if you have a talent and you're in a church, like they will exploit you to the end and make you do like, like if you're good at the piano or singing, it's like you will do it every weekend in perpetuity.
You're God's unpaid intern. For right. Sure.
And that's the thing. They can like pull the, obviously we're not going to pay you. You're doing this for the Lord. And yeah, it's kind of fucked up, but at least you kind of were able to develop your chops out of it.
Absolutely. I did so much music. I mean, there was a point where I was playing, I had like a junior high service and a high school service Friday nights, 2 adult services Saturday nights, and then 3 adult services Sunday mornings.
Jesus
And
Christ.
then you could also sign up to play 2-hour sets at this other institution. It was called the Roseville House of Prayer, modeled on the International House of Prayer in Kansas City, if any listeners are familiar with that.
Wow, Kansas City, stand up.
And so you could play 2-hour sets as well and just improvise with a band for 2 hours straight. So,
and did you sign up for a lot of those?
I did. I had like a weekly, and this is all during high school age. So it was, since I wasn't really limited by like a regular school schedule, I just could play a lot of music. So it's kind of cool in that way.
Yeah. Now I know obviously you, and we're going to get into this more later, religious trauma kind of is a theme. And I grew up, my mom wasn't, but her sisters were super evangelical. The earth is 6,000 years old, but they were Pentecostal.
Okay.
So that's like the real crazy shit. Like I saw snake handling once when I was a kid.
You really did?
Yeah.
I'm always so curious about that.
It's truly insane. Like it, and I'm not even saying this to necessarily like denigrate anybody, but it really does look like an insane asylum. Like people are like weeping on their knees, like speaking in tongues, running around. I mean, it really is as intense as it looks.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I grew up in similar environments.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, I think it was funny because I left kind of formally, like around age 17, and this is part of why I loved college so much.
Yeah.
But I had friends that were really into counterculture and raves and hallucinogenics and things like that, and it would always just really remind me of church. It wasn't so much my bag because I was like, what about like a medium lit room?
Right. Yeah. What about like being chill for the first time in my life? Just
what about like Survivor on the couch with like a blanket and a dog? Like I'm just I'm good off. But some people really like those high stimulation environments.
I think that's part of why it kind of sucks people in so much, because it is, especially if you're something like a preacher or, you probably do literally get like a high off of, it probably feels like performing the craziest concert like that you would ever perform, because you have these people, literally losing their minds in front of you. I mean, that would be an insane experience.
And music's such a huge part of it, right?
Oh,
I mean, there's like music has been a healing art for so long in so many different cultures. And I think it does really get to, I was listening to AirPods the other day and I was thinking about how, wow, this is really getting beamed into like the center of my skull.
Yeah.
Like it's inside of my body. It's inside of my brain, my mind world. And I think that music is so powerful that way. And so with these different religious practices, you can like, it's really powerful.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, like you just said, I think that's a really sentient point that pretty much every culture, music is a huge part of, essentially community, worship, various things, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much everyone agrees that, music is like a cornerstone of, like you said, healing, self-expression. And it's kind of interesting to see that through line, even though cultures are so different in many ways, but music is kind of a constant between everything.
Well, and there's even there's a meditation where your mentor gives you a mantra and it's just yours, and they give you this mantra, and that's, I feel like the chorus of a song.
Mm-hmm.
It's really similar to repeating a mantra with someone else, and it's kind of co-regulating in that way. A lot of my songs are mantras that got me through something tough.
Yeah.
So it's like they're like these things you can hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's secular or not, just helps you feel connected to something.
Right. Now, do you sort of maybe channel that energy that we were talking about when you perform?
Snake handling energy?
Or
have
just
you
like,
seen me perform?
I actually, unfortunately, have not gotten a chance to see you perform, but the next time you're in LA, I'm there.
Sure.
As we're going to talk about, huge fan of your music. Think you're absolutely brilliant. Do you think your exposure to these sort of heightened community experiences or performances, whatever you want to call them, in church, do you think that rubbed off on you as a performer, or do you think you maybe channel that in some way when you're on stage?
Woo! Good golly.
Well, I got you pretty early on in the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is I think I take it very seriously, being on stage, and people may be in an emotional state or an altered state, and I take it just really seriously. I want people to feel really safe. I think we have this relationship where, like other people, like maybe like someone that makes movies, like their parent gave them a camcorder and they're running around camcording stuff or whatever. That didn't happen to me. I'm not Spielberg. I do have these experiences being on stage and making up songs on the spot, and being a huge fan of music also. I mean, I just listen to so much music. So I feel like it's what I have. It's like there's a potluck. What are you bringing to the potluck?
Yeah.
Like music is what I have to bring to the potluck.
Yeah.
And
that's a good analogy.
So I think it's what I have to offer, and the being able to play music in front of people at a young age. I think I feel blessed that it doesn't intimidate me, and I got a lot of hours.
Sure.
I just got a lot of hours just being in front of people, that it doesn't freak me out as much.
Yeah.
The performance aspect, it's so hard because it's I really don't think I was in a state of mind of performing at those younger ages.
Sure.
Even though it was like we had in-ear systems and talkback mics.
You didn't think about it like that necessarily.
No, but now performing, I feel very inspired by. Like, I love Joseph Campbell's work a lot about, you obviously know, the hero's journey, and really, like, just stuff about maybe alter egos, and I think there is a space where you go into this, like, ritual time. Like, your 9 to 5 is, like, a certain kind of time, and then when you're at a show or a performance, you enter, like, ritual time.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's a long way to say... It didn't. That's a long way to say back. It didn't. It didn't really. It didn't really, except just the hours and hours.
Just the practice, and you got your 10,000 hours essentially.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind being on stage. I mean, I still get nervous.
Oh, sure.
But I can do it. I mean, I think some people are like, "Oh my God," but I can get up there and I can do it. Wow.
She can get up there.
What would
Go see June Swoon. She can get up there and she can do it.
I can do it. And if you ever saw some snake handling, we're going to take you to church.
Yeah, you can incorporate snake handling on your tour.
You know what? When
it's
I get the budget,
dangerous. You shouldn't do it. But
when I get the budget, I have had trick roping.
Oh,
I've had trick
that's
roping.
neat.
Yeah. Esteban Escovedo is a trick roper in LA. He comes and performs with me sometimes.
That's nasty. That's sick. Nasty in the good way, of course.
Yeah, it's
that's what
really
the kids
cool.
are saying these days.
Whenever he doesn't have to like help a sick horse or like take care of his baby goats on his ranch.
Oh, so he's like a real cowboy.
Oh, he's
like
a real
real
cowboy. He comes and he's done a few shows with me. So,
that's fucking badass.
It's
yeah, hopefully
cool.
the show I get out to, hopefully he's there. That would be cool. I think one of my aunts did trick roping a bit when she was a girl.
One of the evangelical ones?
Yeah, one of the evangelical ones, because they, I say I'm from Columbus, but we were born in Southern Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they moved out to Oklahoma actually when they were little. So obviously rodeo culture is huge out there. And I believe, I'll have to ask my mom, but I do think that at least one of my aunts was into trick roping.
She might have gone to rodeo school with my parents.
That would be wild. Are they from Oklahoma?
No, but they went to rodeo school in Colorado.
Okay.
And they didn't do trick roping, but my mom is a cowgirl and my dad was a rodeo clown because he thought that would be less dangerous than the horses.
Wow.
Which it's not.
So is A House with Open Windows, is that your dad?
That's my dad.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad's on the cover.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask, essentially the decision behind putting a rodeo clown on but that makes sense.
It was a trip. I mean, I went over to visit them and they had pictures from the rodeo. They had pictures from their rodeo days, like out film photos, and
that's
I just
cool.
gravitated to it right away, and he let me use it for the vinyl, which he's a huge music head and vinyl head. I mean, he's so pumped.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to put my mom on a cover of an album
Do it.
one day. My mother was horribly ugly as a child. I'm joking, Mom. I love you. So obviously, I'm sure whenever you talk about, especially when you bring up that you were an evangelical, I'm sure you've been asked this 100,000 times, but I'm going to ask it again. I assume you've heard of Ethel Cain.
Mm-hmm.
Does her music speak to you a lot? Because obviously she writes a ton about religious trauma and sort of, the Ethel Cain character sort of, lives in that kind of world of, being oppressed under, evangelicalism. Do you listen to a lot of her music or?
I have a huge amount of respect for her, and I love like the Southern Gothic nature of her work. I don't know if I've gotten to that, if I work in like exactly the same space with it as far as what she's doing, but I think she's a beautiful artist. I think she's amazing.
Yeah, she's the best. I just had to ask that. I'm sure, you've probably been asked that before. Also, I'm kind of curious because you mentioned that, the separation of your 9-to-5 self, and then when you perform or get on stage, you become sort of a different person. So, we can cut this if you don't want, but June is not your government name. Do you consider June a different person than yourself, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, June Swoon is definitely like this character that is from my subconscious. It's been a really wonderful vehicle for me to really explore more femininity, actually. I've always had like a pretty solid mix of feminine and masculine energy, and I think I've become much more integrated just from the practice of being June Swoon for the last several years. I get real esoteric up in this bitch. So if I get a little bit like far off, like just like reel it back in.
That's a fucking that's a bar, by the way. I get real esoteric.
I
up in this
do.
bitch.
It's like a bad habit. It's like relax, like calm down. Yeah, it's just like, I think that's what music and art gives us is, I mean, when you see an artist and a performer, I think you can tell when somebody's trying to give you something or if somebody's trying to get something from you.
Sure, absolutely.
I can tell. And as a performer and as an artist, I really admire people who they're giving something that belongs to the whole, like belongs to the collective. So I think having an alter ego that's like, I want other people to be able to use the things that I find kind of in my journeys through my ritual time, subconscious land, and have it be, you know, a symbol of and a feeling of like freedom and stuff for them too, because that's what it is for me.
So it's almost like you kind of want the freedom that it gives you to be a different person. You want to pass that on to the audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because I'm just a person too, and I need help getting by, and I get a lot of that from the music and the movies that I like. I mean, I think loving music is so much like loving movies because music makes your life feel like a movie. So you
really do get esoteric up in this bitch. I love it.
I love film. I think that's a big part of why I do music. And like I said earlier, that's like what I have to bring to the table. Like,
okay.
I don't know how to make movies. I love to watch movies. I don't know how to make movies. I write songs. So that's what I have to like bring to the potluck, so to speak. But June Swoon is also what I'm sort of bringing to the potluck in a way.
Yeah. That's a cool way to think about it. I never thought about it like that. But you know, because, you know, music and live performance, which I have to commend you, by the way. I feel like live performance in today's age is something that's, I feel like it's not respected as much in multiple ways. I think both sometimes by people that go to concerts in more of a literal sense of, you know, people talking during shows and on their phone and not really engaged in the moment, but also I think more sort of more abstractly by musicians, in that it doesn't really seem like it's as much of a focus as it used to be. And, you know, I'm not trying to be like a boomer, like, oh, music was better back in whenever, but is that something that you've noticed, or do you think that that's not really something you've picked up on? Or
I feel kind of spoiled in a way, because after Sacramento, I lived in Austin for a while, and that's a huge performing city.
Yeah.
I ended up watching a lot more comedy and movies than music at that age, but I was going to open mics and I was working on my work. And then living in LA now, like, these are cities where the arts and performing is so valued.
Sure.
And I think a lot of my peers and the people that I'm around who I respect, like, I think probably, like, you know, the music industry, this thing that's like intangible. Like, I think, you know, trends and our people buying tickets and our people doing this and that, especially after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand that is probably true, but I feel like on the ground, people are still performing, like,
oh, sure.
Performing the shit out of their performances and trying to make it the best it can be, and really, like, just giving them their all to it.
She would say they're getting up and doing it.
They're getting up and doing the damn thing. So I probably am just kind of biased from where I'm at in the landscape of it all.
No, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, I that does make you lucky, I think, because, you know, I think there are some artists that have expressed, like, you know, like, oh, I kind of wish that, you know, people lived more in the moment, or because, you know, people being on phones really bothers some artists. But I mean, no, I think that's tremendous, and I think that in a way speaks to your skill as a performer if people are engaged, and that, you know, even if, you know, all of this is really going on, and that, you know, people don't appreciate live performance as much, that you're sucking them in. I mean, I think that's a testament to your talent.
I think, yeah, I mean, it can, like, if people are talking or something, it can challenge your ego, of course. I think that's human, but I think if you can pull people in and take it as a invitation,
yeah,
and you're not really entitled to people's attention.
I agree.
Like, even if they bought a ticket to a show because their friend is they're like, oh, you want to hear this band, or I'm going to the show to see this band, do you want to come? Or they're trying to go and prove something to an ex. Like, I don't know. They're at the show, and I am there to entertain, and however people want to be entertained and be in the space with me, like, I'm grateful that they're there. And I don't know. I mean, we're all on our phones constantly. So I truly don't take it personally.
Yeah. I kind of am more in your camp with that. It's like, I kind of view it as how college professors view class. It's like, you bought a ticket. If you really just want to sit there on your phone, I mean, I guess that's fine with me. I don't really get it why you would do that. But, like you said, you're there to entertain. And if people are really saying, yeah, I got a lot out of that show just by sitting and looking at my phone 90% of the time, then I guess that's fine. If they really enjoyed themselves, then that's what counts, right?
Yeah. I mean, and as someone that, like, I put on shows, like, even if I'm not playing, I like to book shows. And then sometimes you got to walk around looking like the manager. You got to walk around looking like you're doing business, making sure people are going to be in the green room at the time they're supposed to be in the green room. And sometimes, but, that's the whole, like, behind the curtain aspect of it all. I think people that really, I think about sometimes that there are people that follow other people on tour, like people that have gone and like Grateful Dead. Like, I feel like there's certain bands where people are like, oh, I did that.
Their whole life is basically the Grateful Dead.
Like, they're tornado chasers, but it's to see this band.
It's to see the Grateful Dead.
And I'm like, wow, because I'm so spoiled. I mean, I go to shows. I obviously I love, like, an amazing performance as an audience member as well, but to be that affected by it, to where you're like, I want to go every night. I mean, that's so cool. I would probably put you in the camp of someone who's like, that show changed my life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if everybody has that relationship to live music.
Oh, I mean, I've like cried at shows because I was like just so happy that I was there.
Me too.
To me, music does something. And you're right. Not everyone has that to a lot. Actually, I'd say to a lot of people. We're probably in the minority if you're talking about the general public. Yeah. Most people have a more casual relationship to music. They might go to 1 or 2 concerts a year and like, oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I've had like basically religious experiences at
Can I tell you that
course.
2 years ago, I was on my tour for A House with Windows Open, and I played at, oh my God, Union Pool in Brooklyn, and I booked this band. When I tell you that is my favorite album of all time, it's called Heaven's Just a Cloud, and the band's called Spirit Was. The artist is called Spirit Was. During his set, this is like a peer, Yeah. It's a peer of mine. During his set, I was standing right in front of the stage, just bawling, like, not like sobbing, but like the amount of tears that were streaming down my face.
Yeah.
Please
excuse our rude guests. No, I'm kidding.
I was just like completely overcome, and it was an acquaintance and a peer, and he was like, cool, "This is intense." I mean, for me,
yeah.
You guys, everyone listen to that album.
Oh, he said that?
No, that was just the vibe.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I was like, that's kind of, but
it was kind of like an LA versus New York moment. Like, I think in LA, people can like cry at a show and like talk about their sign and things like that. Yeah. And it doesn't snow here. I don't think people in LA pride themselves on being hard.
Really? I've actually noticed the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's funny that we have. LA shows to me typically, this is one of the worst cities in terms of shows that I've seen. Not in quality of performance, but in quality of the audience, for lack of a better
People
term.
don't like move.
Yes.
People don't move.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think that's like a stereotype. That's true.
Yeah.
People don't move. And there can be some like really amazing technical proficiency. And sometimes
sure.
maybe you don't feel like as much soul.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
No, that's true too. What album did you say that was? We can listen to a song if you'd like.
It's called Heaven's Just a Cloud by Spirit Was.
This is I Saw the Wheel off of Heaven's Just a Cloud by Spirit Was.
I woke up on the highway. Cold and clear. I saw the
Wow, this is like... This production's nuts. I was going to fade out, but it's crescendo. We got to let it go. Wow, that's pretty nuts.
It's amazing. He builds guitar pedals.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
That makes sense because I was like, this is like sounds almost like unlike any other guitar I've ever heard.
It's so beautiful.
It's like lo-fi and detailed at the same time.
Yeah, that's such a good way to describe it.
Yeah, it was very very strange in a good way, like in terms of the production choices and how like for lack of a better description, it's like things are like loud and quiet at the same time. It's just I'm gonna have to listen to this. I just bought a pair of very nice headphones.
You did?
Yeah. Are you a gear nerd at all?
No.
Okay, never
mind.
Not at all. I'm gonna go home and listen to this on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Because I really want to like. I'm a producer as well, so I want to like take this in because this is it. The production is super cool. Honestly,
I'm glad we just listened to it. That was super fun.
Yeah.
So transporting, right? It's like a head change. I love that album.
Yeah. I'm definitely. I'm gonna this weekend. I'm gonna sit down. I'll let you know what I think.
Please do.
Even if I hate it. No.
Okay.
Anyway, we have a lot to get to.
Okay.
But I do want to ask you one more sort of unrelated to June Swoon question.
Yeah.
So your music, you've released 2 albums so far. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Called This Town Could Be Big Enough for the Two of Us and A House with Windows Open. We're going to go into in a little bit of detail with both of these, but I just want to sort of talk more generally, big picture about like I said, I like to do a lot of research, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I do a lot of research. What are some of your biggest inspiration? I know you listed genre-wise. You listed early 2000s emo, like post-punk, indie, that kind of sound. Patsy Cline, which you've mentioned in multiple interviews, I believe. She's awesome, of course. She was one of my great-grandmother's favorites.
Oh, that's sweet.
So I thought that was very cool. What are some records specifically in those genres that you think lent the most to the June Swoon sound, both back then, and we're going to get into this as well. You've had quite a sonic evolution, both back then and where you're going.
Definitely like early June Swoon, Good News for People Who Love Bad News by Modest Mouse, Antics by Interpol, and Timber Timber. Have you heard of Timber Timber?
No,
Timber Timber?
I haven't.
I'm blanking on the name of the record that I heard for the first time when I was living in Austin. I don't think it's Creep On Creepin' On. I think it's his first record.
That's a cool name. Creep On Creepin' On.
Yeah, it's just really spooky Southern music. It's really spooky. And I guess when I was living in like Southwestern Virginia, right prior to LA, I was watching Western movies, and I was like, wow, I kind of grew up in like a really male-dominated. I just listened to a lot of male singers. Growing up, I didn't really queen out. I didn't really queen out, as it were. And I think watching Drag Race, watching the lip syncs on RuPaul's Drag Race, and then getting more into He Done Me Wrong kind of like music, like Patsy Cline, Crazy, of course. Like I just
guys be doing a lot of women wrong.
They do be. But I had grown up just listening to guys who girls had done wrong, whatever. So like that was, I think, the mashup there. Like when I was very, very first doing June Swoon demos, is I wanted to pay homage to like the records that kind of raised me as a teenager. But kind of this more vintage, like Western, feminine component was something that I was including as well. So I think that's like the early interviews why I was calling out those things. I think with A House with Windows Open, I was listening to a lot of like 80s post-punk and Bruce Springsteen and 80s Kate Bush.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so
The Boss.
And I just was really, I think I just love music, and I'm a big student, as I've said multiple times in this podcast. Like you two are just two students.
Yeah.
I think like so far, it's only 2 records, but it's like there's studying of like certain genres, and then I kind of want to like have a response to it in a way.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach. I feel like that's kind of how I approach music as well, is that I think like I've just listened to so much music, and like
I think you have to develop taste, and you do that by listening and watching. If you're into movies, you'd have to, you're part of a tradition, you're part of all these lineages of things, so you should know.
Absolutely. And I think taste is, I think that's the most important part of being any kind of artist, because your taste really is what makes, your sound or your your style. If you're a visual artist, I mean, your taste is kind of everything, in my opinion. Knowing what sounds good and what doesn't, what looks good and what doesn't. So developing that taste is like critical.
Well, and have you heard that Ira Glass quote about
I haven't.
Taste?
Well, I mean, maybe I have, but
he says you get into something because you have good taste, and then your taste is good enough to know that what you're making is not good when you start.
Yeah.
And a lot of people quit while in that process of like what you're capable of doesn't match your taste level.
Oh, sure.
And you have to just keep making until, it starts being more aligned.
Right. Yeah. I started off making electronic music back in college. I got decent at it, but man, the first things I made, it's truly shocking how bad these songs were. I mean, like stuff was in the wrong key with each other. It sounded like total cacophony.
Well, and sometimes that can be happy accidents,
Yeah,
and
true.
you can make some cool stuff not knowing
what you're doing.
Just
getting in there.
Some people know too much, and then they are really paralyzed by that, I hear.
Oh, for sure.
I've never had that problem. I don't know anything.
Anyway, so we're going to get into some specifics of your 2 records and your upcoming record, which we have a very exciting sneak peek
Yeah.
on the test press to play. But first, how would you like to play a little game?
Let's play a game.
All
I love
right.
games.
Okay, so this game is called Poorly Explained Country Songs.
Oh my God. Okay.
You're a big country fan. These are
I am.
all sort of, I'll say the term classic loosely. So this does include some more recent songs.
You're going to expose my lack of encyclopedic knowledge about anything. It's like Swiss cheese up in here.
It's like Swiss cheese up in here. No, these are all, I will say these are all well-known songs. There's no...
Even worse.
But we'll see. So essentially, I, looked at some country lyrics and thought of the worst possible way you could explain what it's about to somebody. And we're going to see, as I'm sure you can figure out, we're going to see if you can guess the name of the song by the horrible description. Does that sound good?
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. And if you're, if you struggle, I can give you the decade it was released.
Okay.
If you want. Okay. Number 1. A Marxist call for the proletariat to rise up and shed their chains.
9 to 5.
Boom.
Right?
Yeah, perfect. You got that one. That was great. We're gonna restart easier and then we're kind of ramping up. Okay. Well, see, you were worried. You got that one right off the bat. That was perfect. Okay.
Golly.
Number 2. Insane man in the middle of nowhere mistakes human woman for an audio recording.
The movie Her.
Now, these are songs, country songs specifically.
No clue.
Do you want me to? I'll give you that. It's 2010s. Insane man in the middle of nowhere mistakes human woman for audio recording.
In the 2010s?
Very famous song. Think very famous. Like crossover. I think it was number 1 for a while.
I don't know.
Do you give up?
I give up.
Cruise by Florida Georgia Line. Baby, you're a song. You make me want to roll my windows down.
Oh, and cruise.
Yeah. That's I almost for that one I almost just put the worst song ever made, but I feel like that was too mean.
No, it's definitely no. I like that song. Yeah.
No, it is. I'm not a huge like pop country or stadium country, whatever you want to call it, fan, but you gotta admit that song is catchy as fuck. Like
good is good.
I agree.
Good is good.
And the Nelly remix. Oh.
Okay. I gotta listen to it later. But yeah, I do like that song.
Okay. Number 3. Locomotive enthusiast didn't heed parental advice.
Locomotive
enthusiast did not heed.
Okay, not the band train.
Hey, right. We're thinking
about
country.
trains.
And I'll say this is old. We're talking 50s.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
You're gonna kick yourself when you hear this one.
I don't know.
You want to throw out a guess?
No, I have no idea. No idea.
Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash.
Oh.
His mama told him not to play with guns,
Mm.
and then he's singing about the
did.
trains.
So
and
right.
he played
Folsom's
with guns.
near where I'm from too.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Folsom's
cool.
in Sacramento. Near Sacramento.
Is Folsom Prison still open? I assume it was a real prison.
I think so.
That's pretty cool.
I'm not totally sure. Don't quote me on that. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sacramento.
If it's not true,
Folsom's actually a really like bougie area. So
Really?
I'm not sure. I mean, I've never seen it. You know, I've never seen it.
that'd be crazy.
We got to research this later.
We'll research.
We'll do
it.
a part 2 about a deep dive on Folsom Prison.
Yeah, the next episode is going to be
Yeah.
a deep dive into Folsom Prison.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4. Friend travels across the country to help cover up BFF's culinary mishap.
What? Okay, I would watch this film if it were a film. But I don't know what song it is. I have no idea.
It's early 2000s.
I have no idea. Zero.
Zero idea.
Zero idea.
The Chicks.
No.
Goodbye, Earl.
I've never heard Goodbye.
You've never heard Goodbye, Earl?
I told you this was going to
Oh my
expose
God.
me. Yeah.
As a fake country fan. No, I'm kidding. That one's that like I said, these get harder as it progresses. So
Sure.
that one's not. I mean, it was big-ish, but it's funny. My great grandpa's name was Earl,
Uh-huh.
and the song is literally about this friend who flies across the country and helps her friend murder her abusive husband. And my great grandpa's name was Earl, and he would like listen to it, and he's like, "I love this song," but we think like he didn't know
You're
what
like,
they were.
you're not reading the room.
Yeah.
No, part of the religious upbringing is there are some pop culture holes. There are some pop culture holes.
That would make sense then for the time period. Yeah. Okay. Number 5, the penultimate.
Okay.
Man diagnoses the cause of an ex-lover's insomnia. Man diagnoses the cause.
Need You Now?
Okay, that's actually a really good guess, but
Lady A?
this is old, 1950s.
Dang.
And this is a classic.
Dang.
You for sure know this song.
Diagnoses the... Oh, is it Satin Sheets?
I don't even know that song.
Oh my God. Okay. There's also Slide Off Your Satin Sheets by Johnny Paycheck.
Johnny Paycheck, that's a sick name.
It's a great song.
Johnny Paycheck.
He's a great songwriter.
Paycheck.
I don't know.
Your Cheating Heart by Hank Williams.
No, I don't know.
You've never heard that song?
That song.
Oh,
This
wow.
is okay. This is actually, I have not learned many covers. Like I do write.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
write a lot of songs, and I don't know. It's not part of my practice. But I
Oh.
did start. I started going up and singing more country songs like at Desert 5 Spot and Club TG in
Okay.
LA after my last record came out, and I just kind of started getting into like the American Songbook for the first time, and
Okay.
it wasn't something that I was exposed to before. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got one more.
Okay.
Maybe you'll get it, and if not, you got the first one
Right away.
immediately. That was actually very impressive. I was like, this one might take a second.
The Proletariat, baby. I know that
Hey,
one.
Dolly Parton, Comrade Parton.
Yeah.
Okay. Teenager should have worn a seatbelt.
Oh, my OCD.
This is 2010s.
Oh no. Teenagers should have worn a seatbelt.
I'll say it's a band fronted by a female.
That doesn't help. I don't know.
Don't help,
I
goddammit.
don't know, but I know what playlist I'm gonna make when I get home.
This is a bit of some dark humor for me. It's When I Die Young by the band Perry.
Oh, I've never heard
Should have
it.
worn it. It's a conceptual song about a teenage girl who dies early.
Okay.
She should have worn a seatbelt.
She should have.
Wear your seatbelt.
And that's using your power wisely, as Spider-Man's uncle would have wanted.
exactly.
Is tell the youth.
With great
to wear
power
seatbelts.
comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
That's going to be like how Bob Barker had like get your pet spayed and neutered. That's going to be my thing. Like, remember, kids, wear your seatbelts.
Yeah.
That is a good message.
It is a good. We should all.
Yeah, we should all wear our
Absolutely.
seatbelts. My grandpa never wore a seatbelt.
Earl.
No, not Earl.
Oh,
Earl was a great
okay.
grandpa, but my grandpa Bill, he for whatever reason he's like, I don't like. I'm convinced he didn't do it just because they told him he had to. He's like one of those kind of like old school men.
You're crazy, Bill.
Crazy Bill.
You're crazy.
Yeah, he somehow evaded disaster.
You're
so
crazy for that.
he is. Bill, you're crazy for that. Okay, well, you got one. That's pretty good.
That's better than I thought.
I asked a lot of people, and a lot of people got literally. They were like, "I have no idea."
Oh,
for
okay.
any of these. So no, don't.
Well, even if you're
don't
lying,
feel
thank
bad. these were pretty tough. This is one of the tougher games that I've come up with.
Thank you.
Yeah. Normally it's like, what color's a fire truck? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so we learned a little bit about your background. We talked about religious trauma, a lot of stuff. Let's chat about your actual music. So I want to start with the first record. We're going to go chronologically. And like I said, I feel like we were talking before we started rolling that there's a very clear sort of through line in that more country influence kind of creeps in as your discography progresses.
Yeah.
The first record, This Town Could Be Big Enough for the Two of Us, which...
For the both of us.
Or,
Yeah.
sorry, for the both of us. Very cool name, by the way.
Thank you.
I like, and I believe you actually mentioned in an interview that you sort of like putting these sort of perversions of common idioms, or you sort of like to turn cliches on their head, which is, I think, is pretty cool.
Good for her. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah, you said that.
4 years ago, June. Anyway, I feel like this record, it clearly derives from a lot of different sonic areas, a lot of different genres, but it sounds cohesive in a way that I think a lot of other records like that try but fail at in a way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like, you can very clearly hear the indie influence. You can, like I said, this one is probably like maybe 25% country. Would you say that's probably about a fair?
I think that's accurate.
You can hear some of the emo influence in there, like the jangly guitars. I guess, where did this record begin for you? Like, do you remember an exact moment, or was it kind of just years in the making?
I do remember.
Oh, okay.
It was, so I left California and went to Austin in a very sort of sudden, you know those moments in life where like you're on one path and then you very clearly transition to like a different path.
Yeah, for sure.
Something like that happened to me, and I drove from Sacramento to Austin. So that's a day to LA, a day to Tucson, and then I did like a really long drive from Tucson to Austin. Wouldn't recommend. Yeah. But that was my first time seeing Saguaro Cactus.
Okay. And that's, I assume that's like the Cactus people think of when they think of Cactus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was this crazy drive. I mean, I gave back an engagement ring in California.
Oh, okay.
It was just before my 20th birthday.
So a time of, because that's just an age in general of big transformation. So
yes.
You were not only coming into your own as an adult, you were going through a lot of extreme change.
Yes. My mom and my sister both got married around 19 or 20. And I was kind of on track to do the same, even though everything in me was sort of screaming I didn't want that. And I was engaged for, I think, 3 weeks. And then I gave him the ring back and was like, I'm sorry, I want to make music. I'm going to make music. And I remember he said something along the lines of, you need to grow up. People don't really do music. You need to grow up, and you need to be a wife and a mom,
Jesus,
and he had been so supportive. And then that came out and I was like, oh,
how dare
the patriarchy was there. It's like the Batman reveal. But anyway, so I had this aunt who we were like Facebook friends. I didn't know her well personally, but she was sort of the symbol of the kind of woman I wanted to be. Like, she had lived in New York, she had lived in LA, she had a degree. She was a science fiction writer, she still is. But
oh, cool.
I wrote her kind of this embarrassing email. It was like, can I come sleep on your couch? I'm like in this life transition. So that was the context of why I was doing that drive. But that 3-4 days driving between California and Texas, I was watching the saguaros at night. I was in like a lightning storm at some point in West Texas. And
so it truly was as cinematic as...
Really cinematic. Yeah, exactly.
As you would think that moment would be, yeah.
Cinematic, and it really felt like I was just free. The Southwest just felt like freedom to me, and it just felt like the beginning of my actual life. And so I wrote Blue Bayou that year, which is on a house with windows open.
Oh, wow.
I wrote Blue Bayou when I was 20, and I played it at some open mics around town in Austin.
That's one of my favorite songs off of the second record, by the way. By the way, the learning that you wrote that at 20 is fucking wild. The lyrical work on that is... honestly, and I'm not just saying this, probably one of the most impressive songs I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Truly.
Thank you. That's stunning. I was reading The Stranger by Albert Camus when I wrote that song, or maybe I'd just finished it or something, but that's the Myth of Sisyphus reference there.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Being 20, but yeah, it was a pivotal time. Blue Bayou was an iconic song. I mean, there was a EP or two that I wrote, and it never fully never fully made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But Blue Bayou, I wanted to make this kind of Western the Southwestern music, but it just never totally made sense. I after Austin, I did some other music stuff for a bit. I went to school. I went to UC San Diego and got a degree. And then I didn't start June Swoon for another several years, I think.
Wow.
After the Austin experience.
So not only did Blue Bayou not make it on the first album, it even predates June Swoon as a project.
Yes, and the batches of songs that it was written with, none of those songs survived. I mean, that was probably like a dozen or so songs that just never got recorded, and So Blue Bayou made it.
It's the survivor.
It's the survivor.
The sole survivor.
Absolutely.
Wow. Because when I listen to This Town Could Be Big Enough, you do clearly get the theme of a failing relationship that kind of goes through the song, but it's sort of, I think, it touches on the subject in, I think, sort of an innovative way, in that it's never cheesy, and it never takes itself too seriously, and it knows when it can sort of play around and be a little bit silly, and it knows when to get serious, which I think, once again, is a testament to your writing chops, that you can kind of toe that line so specifically.
Wow, thank you.
Do you another band that I think really does as well as The National? Okay.
I love The National.
I could kind of tell.
National. Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I was listening to that, like, honestly, yeah, the writing on that and the second record as well, it did remind me of Matt Berninger a little bit.
I should have mentioned Trouble Will Find Me as one of my most inspirational albums. I should have mentioned Trouble Will Find Me. So that's really cool that you pulled that out. Isn't it crazy with music? I mean, you make music too. Like, you'll write something and you're like, no one will get that. Like, I'm running this through the filter of myself. It won't come through, and people will come up to me and tell me things from the music where I'm like,
how did you pick up on
that? It's crazy.
No.
It's so crazy.
It's like, and I'm not even like a super spiritual person necessarily, but it is almost like music is like, it's like this telepathy. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, that you can almost sense stuff that's there, even if it's not apparent.
Yeah.
Like you say, you didn't even mention The National at all in any of your interviews, and it was like that inspiration comes through.
That's
which
so
is super
cool.
Cool. Yeah. Trouble Will Find Me is great. My personal favorite is probably High Violet. I'm a big High Violet guy.
Amazing.
I really love Last Two Pages of Frankenstein too. The second to most recent.
Have you watched Mistaken for Strangers?
I have not.
Oh my God! It's
Is it like
so
a documentary about them?
Mm-hmm. It's him and his brother. He brought his brother on tour.
Whoa!
And his brother had a camcorder, and
that's sick.
It's funny. It's sad.
How have I never heard of this?
It's hilarious.
I got a lot. I got an album to listen to. I got a lot of.
Me too.
Homework.
I got a lot of homework to do. I got a lot of country homework to do.
Oh yeah. The National are tremendous. Anyway, going back to This Town Could Be Big Enough for the both of us. I got right. I wrote down 2 because I'm an idiot. I'm gonna beat myself when I get home for that. No, I'm kidding.
No, don't worry about
it. Only a little bit. I love. Well, actually, first before we talk about the ending, I want to play my favorite song from the album. Well, I'll see if you can guess what my favorite song is, even though you have absolutely no information to go off of.
That's actually so interesting. I am gonna say your favorite is. Oh my God. I'm gonna say your favorite. It's so. Would it be?
It's in the first.
Would it be American Dream?
Oh, that's close. I love that one too. It's Whatever Ever After.
That's your favorite. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, does June not like that one?
No, I like it. I like all my songs.
Anyway, let's listen to Whatever Ever After by the legendary June Swoon. See, this is very emo-ish to me.
least I'd like to be. 'Cause you don't talk, and I feel just like a plaything. I'm tired of being disappointed, of silence over fancy dinners, of new last names in my notebook margins, of sharing a bed while alone is.
Quickly, I have to say, I love when pre-choruses do that, hang on a chord or like a melody line and like sort of make you anticipate, like, come on, like, give it to me.
Me too.
That's just so. Anyway, that's a touch that I always love, and it's done well here.
Thank you.
I'm alone. Is ever all alone? Is ever I'm alone? Is ever all alone? Is ever? Do you think of me? Do you think of anything besides pussy and weed? Is my body just lying to me? I'm tired of being
So I couldn't cut it off before the pussy and weed line.
You gotta have the pussy and weed
Of course,
line.
you gotta have pussy and weed. That June Swoon merch, just a black T-shirt, white letters. It says you gotta have pussy and weed. Hey, I'd buy one. I'd probably get fired for wearing it to the office. Anyway, yeah, that song is so. I think it's one of the ones on the record that blends all of those influences so well. Like, I think that's one of the more like indie and emo forward songs,
Definitely.
which that's like more. Like I said, I like alt country, but that's more of my bag. So I think that's probably why I gravitate towards that song more. But the whole record is masterful.
Thank you.
Was this pussy and weed line? I have to ask. What I mean, you don't have to say specifically who it was, but is there a specific person in mind that this was, sort of targeted to, or is that just more of like a general, like, guys you've dated thing?
It's funny you talk about how the album is like this failing relationship, like that you sort of feel fully crash, fully fail. I think that it's like when I finished this album, I would listen back to it, and these are things that I would never own. I would never say out loud.
Yeah.
They weren't like in my consciousness. And then I listened to the record back. I remember I literally got the final masters, uploaded them to distribution, and was like, I need to get into therapy. So you like hear stuff and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I felt that way, which is so
for
interesting
sure.
because
Yeah.
when you listen to music that someone else wrote too, or when I listen to music that's not my own, I'm like, I do feel that way. That is the way that is an emotion that I feel. It's like,
Yeah.
so I do that with my own work as well.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, I think that's why music is such good therapy. I mean, that's why there's
Absolutely.
literally music therapy, is because you can sort of release things, like you said, that you would never in a billion years say out loud, let alone let other people hear.
Yeah.
But in the context of a song, you're able to just put it out there for the world to see.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel the same.
Right.
Like if you just said that on Instagram Live or something, you'd be like, I can't fucking do that. That's insane. But in a song, it's just like, yeah, that's what I feel. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
It's so wild.
I love Beyonce so much. And like I listen to Lemonade all the time. And
yeah,
you would
that's
just
a great one.
like she's someone who I think really like these things that especially in a relationship context that are like a shadow that maybe aren't in your the daylight of your relationship, but your shadow self, like these deep sort of rejections or insecurities,
Yeah.
really inspiring.
Oh yeah. She's one of the best.
One
She's
of
one of the best. Anyway, we have a lot to get to, so I can't hang on. But I did want to ask you about one thing you said once again in an old interview, and I thought this was tremendously. I thought this was a tremendous sort of realization. You said that after you made this, I believe this was actually an interview about a house with windows open windows
with
open?
windows open.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was making sure I didn't. If I got both
I love
wrong,
these esoteric, I love
Yeah.
these esoteric names. I got an EP that's going to come out called Big Truck. I'm trying to quit.
Fuck yeah, Big Truck. Just call it Big Truck. I mean, it's a good name, but it contrasts. It's funny. It's like these philosophical, then just fucking Big Truck, man.
It's an EP,
Okay, yeah. So
it's an EP. Yeah, keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. You said that after you released this album, you felt almost a postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Which that's something that I feel a lot, and I had never really. It's a concept I never really thought about, but like after you articulated that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because you like making art is like this high, and like the creative process is like, I mean, if we didn't get high off of it, we wouldn't do this, right? And it's just after it, you do have like this sort of emptiness after it's over.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great comparison, because it's like you should be happy that it's done and that it's being released, but like you do have this like emptiness left behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think, is that something, do you still feel that with all of your projects, or is that like, have you figured out ways to sort of, get around that, or I guess get over that?
That's such a sweet and thoughtful question. I think it's a self-care thing. Like, I'm about to go on tour for a month, and I'm trying to line up other things, like for when I come home.
Yeah.
To kind of mitigate that bit when you have a big push, big energetic sort of release. I try to be aware of how it's going to make me feel to the crash. And so just lining up more small things. And then I think there is a grief to it. I mean, it's similar to, I don't have children. I've never gone through that, but there is an element of like when you have kids, when you're pregnant, it's only the two of you. You're having this experience, and then you have a baby, and then for the next however many years, the whole process is it separating from you. So it's like you had this period with it that it was just the two of you, and then it's over and it's in the world now. And I think with music, like I sing in the car, like songs that I haven't recorded yet. I mean, right now I have a fair amount, and I enjoy my time alone with them, with each song. And so when you go through the production, which can be really punishing and grueling, and then when you release it, by that point, your time alone with the material is like in the past.
Yeah.
So there's like a natural grief to like letting it go. And but no, I just try to have other things to do after a big project wraps.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you have your brain, you're not just like totally left with like, oh, I have this huge withdrawal of purpose.
Yeah.
But anyway, this town could be big enough for the both of us. Incredible record. Love it. Genuinely, I probably would put this in my top, I don't even know number. This is one of my favorite albums ever, probably.
That's so
Genuinely.
cool.
I listened to it all the time. Like I said, I kind of rediscovered it after I reached out to you and been spinning it,
That's
endlessly.
so cool.
So,
Well, Whatever Ever After did just hit 10,000 plays. So I think that was probably
right.
you.
There we go. Anyway, so that was record number 1. And then you have currently a second record that came out in 2023 called A House with Windows Open, which, as we went over with earlier, the cover is your father in full rodeo clown.
Cool band name.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Radio clown. Someone, you can take that. But
For
pay her.
free.
Give her like $500 if you take it.
Hell yeah.
In full rodeo clown get up, which is very cool. Is there a reason that specific image spoke to you as the cover?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a song called Love is Strange on the record that I wrote. It's really tough living. Cut that. Not cut that, but like it's really tough living
It's really
is the
tough.
quote.
Hey, more merch.
It's really tough living.
It's really tough living.
Pussy and weed. the June Swoon story. No. So
That's your telling your memoir. Oh my God.
Love is Strange is kind of about like we have these. It's not about this, but it's like, it's a fictional story about someone without experiencing homelessness coming to your door and asking to use a phone charger, and you're like, yeah, you can. And they're like, are you alone? And you're like, why would you ask that? Now you made me feel weird about it. And they're like, well, someone caught me off guard before, so I'm just protecting myself. So both of you are like, well, I'm just protecting myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know like how to trust this stranger or have a human connection and keep myself safe. And my dad, with that rodeo clown photo that was out when I visited, he had these photos from when they did rodeo school. And then they were also missionaries at the time.
Oh, wow.
So they were sending a newsletter out to people that were sponsoring them. And in this one newsletter, he was writing it for the people who were supporting him and my mom. And it was about his experience becoming a rodeo clown. And he said that he was facing down this bull. I'm trying to remember what
in the photo?
Yeah. The photo is a picture of him in the ring.
Right. Oh my God.
Which someone was taking film photos. So he's actively in it with
so
a
he's
bull.
in the picture. Wow.
So he was so they did this rodeo school for whatever reason. My dad's terrified of bulls and horses. So he's like, a rodeo clown, I'll be far away.
Oh yeah. I'm horrified of large animals, but I'll be a rodeo clown.
He had no idea what he was going to be doing.
He should have been a radio clown.
He should have been a radio clown. He would love that. But in the news, so he learned how to, a rodeo clown, for those who don't know, is you keep the rider safe. You're trying to attract the bull's attention. If the cowboy or cowgirl is in trouble, they'll come and chase the clown instead. So he's literally like a target for this bull.
Yeah.
It was called Lips. The bull's name was Lips in the letter, in the thing that he wrote. So he wrote in this letter that he faced down Lips, the bull, and he realized in that moment that his purpose was to stand in the gap for people. And to help people and keep them safe. And that was just a huge theme for my record that was already written. It was getting mastered by the time I heard the story from my dad. And it was really meaningful. There's a big thread in me that's service-oriented and wanting to keep people safe, to the point where it's like a neuroses sometimes, but just feeling like I have that thread in common with my dad.
Yeah.
And sort of sorting out this thread that we probably both share. It was really significant.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's I love a meaningful cover. So that's very cool to learn the story.
It's very sentimental for me. I definitely both my albums have been scanned film photos and not like high.
The first one is you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not like
June,
high definition. Actual album covers that other people probably do. But I picked the ones that I like.
They're cool, and I think it fits the mood of the music very well too.
Thanks.
Which that to me, like I said, sort of like how I think live performance might be a bit of a lost art. I feel like album covers are kind of, I'm a fan of like really thinking about and paying a lot of attention to an album cover and like making sure it fits the album perfectly. That's just me. But it sounds like you kind of think similarly, which is cool.
Absolutely. I mean, the text chains, like if you saw the text chains of my friends and I, and we're texting each other album artwork and getting people's opinion on it. I mean, it's, yeah.
If This Town Could Be Big Enough was 25% country, this one's probably more like 50, maybe even, approaching 70% country. It's the country sound comes through a lot more. There's still definitely like indie influence in there as well. I felt like this album was a bit darker.
Yeah.
Both, I think, production-wise, like sonically, but also thematically. It's, it's a little bit more, like I said, where This Town Could Be Big Enough was, I feel like the second album has less of those like lighthearted kind of messing around moments.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is my COVID album.
Oh, well, there you go.
I had an album release tour set up for This Town, which came out at the end of 2019. So I had my tour get canceled.
Yeah.
And A House with Windows Open was just a really like dark night of the soul. It came out of the postpartum period for this town, plus a canceled tour. And I just confronted some things with myself. I hung up some Christmas lights in a garage of the house I was renting at the time, a room I was renting in the garage, and I sat and it was very spiritual. I would say it was very, very spiritual. And I would say that the stuff that I'm working on now is definitely it would make more sense if what I'm working on now would be like the part 2 of this town.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Like A House with Windows Open was a detour, and I'm glad that it was a detour. It's a little bit more of me. Like if June Swoon is like an alter ego persona, I would say, did I just say it right? If this town is like the June Swoon, inspired by drag and inspired by like country, A House with Windows Open was more like from Julie, from me.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is it's a much more personal, I think. Whereas, this town sort of more listens like watching a movie, maybe more of like a narrative, but this more so a House with Windows Open sounds more like, you're just listening to your inner thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's really spot on. I mean, the narrative component of A House with Windows Open is there's a river and there's a house by a river, and there's different moments in the album where you can hear like running water. And it's about surrendering and not trying to like enforce a man-made structure. I mean, these are the images that I saw while writing it. As far
based on somewhere you actually lived, or is this just kind of imagined?
It's a place that I would go and kind of sit on the riverbank in my mind and write the songs, but it's not a real place.
Okay.
And it's similar with this town, like what I talked about with like saguaros and like New Mexico, West Texas highways. Like that's where I would go and sit when I was writing this town. And if music can be telepathic, it's like that's the setting that I want to set.
So you imagine literal places when you write, kind of.
Sometimes.
Wow.
Sometimes.
That's very cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm not as, like, when I write, I'm not, like, I do tend to write narratively and do a lot of, like, concept writing, but, excuse me, but at the same time, I feel like I don't, like, that's just not, it's just so fascinating that, like, you literally imagine yourself sitting somewhere. That just, like, I guess that's just not how my brain works. So I think that's just super fascinating.
I know. Everyone's inner world is so different.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I started this podcast is I'm so fascinated by the way that different creatives, even though we're all sort of achieving the same end, the literally infinite ways you can arrive at creating music. It's very cool.
Yeah.
So I would like to play many songs, but unfortunately, time is linear. So we'll see if you can get this one right. What song do you think is my favorite off of A House?
Well, you told me that Blue Bayou was one of your favorites, and so that tells me a little bit about.
That's like a 1B. It was very close between.
Tells me a little bit about maybe, but then your other favorite was Whatever Ever After. So okay, off A House with Windows Open, maybe your favorite would be. Is it on the first half or the second half?
It's first half.
It's the first half? Okay.
First half.
Is it Working Dog?
It is.
Okay.
Nice. Hell yeah. I feel like this song is, I just love, and obviously we're going to listen to it and we'll talk about it after. I love this metaphor. Such a good metaphor of like, the story that you tell in the song. So we'll just go ahead and listen to it. This is Working Dog by June Swoon.
Colorful visions
That was Working Dog by June Swoon. We're doing a little costume change here. It does get very hot in
I
here.
kind of forgot I was wearing a giant fur coat.
Tremendous song once again.
Thank you.
Like I said, I really love the metaphor of, the working dog, and that, you sort of like this life of eternal pressure and, sort of purpose, I guess, in service of other people is kind of so programmed into you that if you don't have something, chaotic or, something troubling going on, that you almost like don't like it. And like it kind of drives you crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like my mom is kind of like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I inherited that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that is that sort of more of, does this sort of exist in the world of the character, or would you say that's true to life?
It's true to life. Yeah, it was a really interesting time. I mean, it was just the COVID of it all and the shows going away. I just went to like a really deep place and back to like, the stuff I was probably sorting out at like age 20.
Yeah.
Like the Blue Bayou stuff. But yeah, it's definitely true to life. I mean, if there's like a June Swoon, the kind of like what you were describing with being more playful and stuff, like it's hard for me. I think still like I'll definitely take a metaphor and like I'll stretch it.
Yeah.
I'll stretch a metaphor, like I'll do wordplay and stuff like that. So it exists in that realm, but definitely I see a lot more of myself, and really like it's a lot more of like what I have in common with my dad. I mean, I think the first record was sorting out a lot of stuff I had about femininity and like my role in relationships. And so this record was a different part of myself, a different suitcase to unpack, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also know that in interviews you said that you experience OCD symptoms.
Yeah.
I do as well.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
diagnosed OCD, so go
Let's
team.
go.
Yeah. And that had a huge impact on this album as well.
Yes.
Do you think music helps with your symptoms, or do you think does it exacerbate them? Because I know people sort of on both sides of that. Like some people will obsess about music and their making of art. Is that something that impacts you, or is it more sort of cornered off to other areas of your life?
No, music is a huge relief for me. I believe Nicki Minaj, was it?
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj talks about like not really having the option to not do music. Like,
yeah.
And I feel that way. Like my symptoms become much worse if I'm not making and performing music. So it's kind of a funny relationship we have where it's like, I have to play for sure.
Yeah, I think it's for me, and maybe this is somewhat for you too. For me, it's more so just like if I'm not doing anything or if I'm not working on anything, then my brain just goes wild and yeah,
absolutely.
So music can kind of serve as something to occupy that part of your brain, so it doesn't just, because mine will fucking run wild if I'm just kind of doing nothing. But yeah, I'm glad that this album seemed to be, you seem to get out a lot of what you're kind of bottling up inside, from COVID and from the tour being shut down. Does listening to this sort of, does it put you back in that place necessarily, or is it more so, have you kind of been able to detach yourself from that and like the feelings that inspired this record?
Ooh, beautiful question. I think with this record, there's like a fever pitch of anxiety and pressure that ends up finally breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then around the time of like Water Baby and Passover, which are more like watery songs, that was the triumph over like the Dark Night of the Soul, where I found a way to keep going.
Yeah.
And so I think that I feel that feeling of triumph more than anything. And just devices. Like I just mentioned, like the thinking about going and sitting on a riverbank and there's this house on stilts and it kind of looks like the Mississippi and it's kind of dark, like maybe like 4 p.m. And it, when you can see like the dust in the air, like in the golden light, like before the sunset. So it's like I'm seeing that. And my OCD I felt for myself was like, there's a house and it reminds me of a day in my apartment in Echo Park where this sort of came to me. I was really trying to keep negative emotions out. So the windows were closed. My space was very controlled and I made it safe, but that was creating problems for me to not let things pass through me.
Yeah.
Because I was so rigid and trying to keep everything under control.
Right.
And that's when the metaphor of Passover from the Bible comes in and the song Passover, where I think it was part of the plagues of Egypt or something, but something was passing over. And I just pictured like opening the windows. I used to live on the second story apartment with a roommate, but we had this beautiful breeze come through, like in Echo Park and kind of the hills. And so I really pictured myself like opening the windows and letting all the things that I was trying to force out of my space, like letting them pass through because they leave.
Yeah.
If you let it pass through, it eventually leaves.
For
and
sure.
Feelings eventually leave. And so that I think is like really like the pearl in the middle of the record for me and one that I still enjoy returning to.
Wow. That's incredible that song is, I mean, it sounds like that was like, that was kind of like as you said, that's kind of like the resolution, I guess, or you sort of like finally sort of arriving at this realization, I guess it sounds like.
Yeah, I think an album for me so far, and each one might be different, but so far it's like it's a record of how I healed myself. Like both records are like you can follow something to its conclusion and see like the footprint that got left by something that I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, A House with Windows Open, tremendous record once again.
Thank you.
The writing on this is just insane. Yeah. Love. Really, really not much else to say other than that. So that's that's the complete June Swoon catalog for now, but as we discussed earlier, they will soon be joined by a sibling called Big Truck.
The sibling is Big Truck. I mean, and I do have, I have 2 more albums mapped out.
Really? Oh, so you plan pretty far in advance.
I think in like, I do write concept albums, it seems. And so I just write like they're part of like a larger story. So I have 2 that I want to make. And so Big Truck is one, it's like a preview of one of them, but so far I basically save up for a few years and then I make a lo-fi record with what I've saved up.
Yeah.
And I've done that with 2 records and it's obviously like wouldn't trade it, love it. I love running the ship as like someone who wrote the song Working Dog, you could imagine.
Yeah.
Like I do like running things like but I am hoping that maybe I'm going to spend some time touring. I'm going to spend some time getting more exposure and maybe I'd be able to get a little bit of money to make maybe a record that's a little less lo-fi, but you know what? I'm going to make it either way.
Well, exactly. But it has to be said, I mean, to me, the records sound awesome.
Thank you.
I was actually going to comment on that I think the production, especially like learning that it was essentially, it was totally self-financed and, you just kind of drummed up a band of people to help, like, it sounds phenomenal.
Thank you. That really means a lot to me.
Yeah, even just irregardless of that. But
it's really small. It's a really small budget for both. I mean, this town is really small budget. I was laughing listening to Whatever Ever After because that song I tracked at a studio called Anagram Sound Studio that is now defunct. But
Rest in
Anagram,
peace.
it was Anagram Sound Studio, or ASS for short,
Dude,
by my friends
we
Lisa
went
and
to
Chris.
Ass, we got in the ass,
we-
and we did it.
They have a band called Mutt from Oakland that I'm
Okay.
obsessed with.
I think I actually might have heard of them
The
before.
song Lobotomy is one of my favorites.
Hmm.
So they engineered Whatever Ever After, and Chris played drums, but I was just laughing, remembering that time when we were listening to it earlier. Anyway, a lot of memories, a lot of friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely am like making it up as I go. I'm not like I love music. I think I have a good ear. I just want to make great records.
Well, if you're a music exec and you're watching this show, first of all, please give me $10 million.
Hell yeah.
And second of all, sign this lady right here, please. She makes tremendous music.
Thank you.
And let's make the next record hi-fi rather than lo-fi.
It's probably still going to be like what you were talking about with Spirit Was. You're like, it's loud and it's quiet at the same time. Like, I love that stuff. But
No, it's that's the thing. It's like it is like it's a signature, like it's a sound signature, but when it works
absolutely.
super, super well. And I think your records, it 100% works.
Yes.
And it almost that, like, you know, if it was more hi-fi, I don't know if it would be as impactful in a weird way, because
I think when I talk about hi-fi, I'm talking about like there's songs like on the next record that have strings, and I would love to pay string players. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
stuff like
stuff
that.
like that. Yeah,
Like I would love to be able to do more stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
it'll get made either way,
but
for
yeah,
sure.
right.
But when I
You'd
say
like to be able
hi-fi,
to
I
have
think
the
I'm
luxuries of I get you.
I'd like
I get you.
a string section. That's my
Yeah.
dream, is a string
Well, if
section.
you're a string player and you want to do some pro bono work, hit up June Swoon.
Thanks.
Anyway, I've been told that we have a preview
Yes.
of Big Truck.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, it is correct because you emailed it to me
Yes.
and I saw it with my own eyes.
It's the song Denver.
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 Well, let's listen to it first. And then I'll ask you about the name. It's not out yet, but it will be out very soon. Eventually. Denver by June Swoon.
Grow flowers on a rolling stone, but I've got my mark, my bright lights out in Denver where they hang a mile high. It's time to go.
That was the sneak preview of Denver. So, as I was saying, if this town is 25% country, house is 50%, this is like fucking the country dial has been broken and it's 140% country. But like old country, you know, sort of like that Patsy Cline, that kind of era. So what do you think, what brought about that sonic journey between, how did you arrive that this is the sound that June Swoon in 2025, this is what June Swoon is?
Yeah. I when I put out A House with Windows Open, it was a really big push, kind of talking about like, again, like that postpartum feeling, I guess, of when a big project's done. I think I was working on A House with Windows Open. I think I worked on it for 3 years. And it was in production for like a really long time, but it came out and I went on tour. And then my hosts in Amarillo, Lance and Ashley, they have a shop called Caliche Co. in Amarillo.
Shout out Lance and Ashley.
Yeah, they gave me Elite Hotel by Emmylou Harris on CD. And then I listened to it the rest of my drive. And I had never really listened to Emmylou Harris before, like deeply. You know, I grew up on like indie and punk and stuff. So I hadn't really listened to it. And I really loved the album. And I ended up getting home, and I had booked a lot of shows for the tour. I did like an album release show, and I just kind of was like, okay, like what else do I want to do right now? And I just started going and getting up with live bands at honky tonks and country bars in LA.
Wow.
And it was really fun to like push myself to learn these classics. And I think there's places like when I listen to This Town Could Be Big Enough for the Both of Us, like I write pretty like the songs are very focused on the lyrics, obviously, but there's not a ton. If you listen, there's not a lot of like instrumental breaks.
No, it's very
like part.
Yeah.
And part of that is I like wrote a lot of those songs on my computer, so I didn't get to play them with people. But I just think like just getting to feel like more space and really letting like that guitar solo hit, and like kind of these more classic formats and why do they work the way they work.
And the lap steel.
And the
I love a good lap steel.
It's just so good, and I think I've definitely made and aspired to make in the past like more esoteric music because I'm an esoteric kind of girl.
Right. She loves esoteric ass shit.
I also love TJ Maxx, as we discussed at the beginning of this. So just like letting things be good, like good is good. So I think like the like third concept album that is gonna come. Big Truck is a collection of songs.
So it's not, you wouldn't necessarily describe it as a project. It's more so just a collection of songs.
No, it's a collection of songs. They're gonna hopefully get played on some radio stations in the US of A, and that's kind of,
we hope so.
That's kind of what. And then the next two, I have 2 LPs, and they're different. They're not both super country.
Really?
So it's like there's like many eras, and I don't even know what you're supposed to talk about in what order, but. Like the next era that I went through, I mean, it was really inspired by like the Bakersfield sound and like kind of studying more about country music in Southern California and how that's really different than like maybe what we instinctively think of when we think about country.
I know in the release that you sent me along with the snippet that's something you mentioned, that the traditional South, or what you would associate with country music, wasn't as much of an inspiration as sort of this the Southwest, and how that it's a bit different than what, especially now, what people associate with country music. And
I love LA. I mean, it's also like in some part like a love letter to Southern California and Los Angeles too.
Hell yeah. Go Dodgers.
Yeah.
No, I love LA too, being from, and you lived a lot of different places. Would you say LA is your favorite place?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't lived anywhere longer than 1.5 years, 2 years since I was a teenager. And LA, I've been here for 7, and I don't have plans to leave. I love it.
Same. Yeah. I've been here it'll be 6 in December this year.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, I think COVID was a big part of it. But now I never really knew what roots felt like before, honestly, before LA.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the country sound it sounds like it might be more of a detour rather than a permanent evolution, or is it kind of just like depends on your interpretation of things?
I think it depends on your interpretation. I mean, in the next eras of music for me that are going to come out in the next couple years, hopefully a few years, there's still like a lot of indie. As far as I think that country is I think it's camp. I think top 40 radio country is camp for it's like a parody of heteronormativity.
That's a good way to say
and
it.
I love it. I love to watch Married at First Sight. I love to watch 90 Day Fiancé. I love Top 40 Country. I love Where's My Wife Country. I love Where's My Husband Country. I love it. I love it. I think it's so camp. I think it's so fun. But even with A House with Windows Open, I thought that it's country the way that The Big Country by Talking Heads is country. Yeah. It's not
It's not like honky tonk yeehaw country.
No. But I'm just interested in exploring, just kind of filtering music I like through like the prism of myself and my point of view, and it'll be interesting to see what people pick up. Like you know, the things that you pick out of my music. I'm like, how did you hear that? How did you know that I like that artist? And you're like, because I can hear it. So, well, I'll see what translates and what doesn't. It might not be as country as I think, and it might really be country. Maybe someone will be like, did you ever like Amy Grant? And I'll be like, oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
You can hear that I like Amy Grant.
You ever heard Cruise by Florida Georgia Line? No, well, I'm super excited to see where you go next. Denver, just that little snippet. It's awesome. You sound great. I was going to say, I love your voice, by the way.
Thank you.
Great timbre.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how this turns out for you. You have a massive fan in me. Yeah, I'm super excited for the future of June Swoon. All right, folks. Well, that was our conversation with June Swoon. June, thank you so much for coming. I hope you had a good time.
I had a blast.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me. Much better than Ross or TJ Maxx. That's where I'm going after this.
And of course. Oh, really? Of course, all of her links to her music will be in the description. Buy it on Bandcamp. I assume you're on Bandcamp?
I am on Bandcamp.
Yeah, buy it on Bandcamp if you can. But if not, of course, streaming still helps tremendously. And she's going on tour.
Yes.
Hit up her Instagram. We'll put her Instagram on the screen here. She has all of her dates there. Go buy tickets and go see this lady play, and maybe even some trick roping. That's what it's called, right?
Maybe some snake.
Maybe some snake handling.
Snakes.
Right.
We're
She's going to
touring-
release live snakes into the audience.
We're touring the full U.S. in an RV for the entire month of June. We'll be all over the United States.
Wow. Would you say it's a June swoon?
It's a June swoon, folks. It's looking like a June swoon.
June, thank you so much for coming. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye.